And what do you think about Ben Johnson to Chicago? We haven't gotten a chance to really talk about him. I love this. I think Ben Johnson. I've talked about Ben Johnson and being able to work with Caleb, and even when Caleb talked about working with the potential of working with Ben Johnson. He just seemed really excited, and I just think this is a great opportunity for him to really push this young man. I mean, he hasn't had a quarterback with this type of talent, this type of athleticism, a guy that's going to be able to move around and create some things. But also, I think his biggest challenge, Mike, and I think you'll agree with me, is going into that building and trying to build an offensive line like the Detroit Lions. That's something that the Bears have struggled to do. And that's something that you need in order to work in Ben Johnson's offense. Yeah, we take it for granted with all these trick plays. No, they have one of the top 2 or 3 offensive lines in all of football. These guys are big, they're physical, they can lean on you, they can run the football, they can go 5 or 6 man protection and give you all the protection in the world. So to me, it's walking in that building and being step by step with Ryan Pace trying to build that offensive line. They have to devote the resources to get that offensive line going because nothing else matters if they can't protect this young man. We saw that this year.
I broaden the lens a little bit here and I take a step back. It's now 40 years since the 85 Bears, and that was such a special and dominant defense that I feel like in the aftermath of that, the Bears just identified themselves with defense. And our strength of our team is going to be our defense. They've never had a high-end offense. Even before the 85 Bears, they haven't had a franchise quarterback since Sid Luckman. They had Walter Payton for all those years. They never developed a passing game to go along with a threat that 12 guys on the field would be chasing around, much less 11. Now they've got potential franchise quarterback who looked pretty good last year despite not having the best help around him. Offensive genius who comes in to match with Caleb Williams in his 30s still. They could be together as long as Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and it's all going to be about offense. And I just think it's perfect. In Chicago, when we were there, and I don't know if I've told you this, but when we were there in 2019 for the first game of the season, Bears-Packers, and I was walking around the city. I'd never been there before, and it's like, this place is awesome. It's like Pittsburgh and New York had a baby, and the baby is Chicago. Because it's got that football that oozes through it. Like New York's New York doesn't even know football exists. Pittsburgh's all about football. Chicago's a big city like New York, but it oozes football like Pittsburgh does. And those fans, the thing that impressed me the most this year by way of fans showing up, December 26th, Thursday night game, Seahawks at the Bears. The Bears are done. It's over. It's raining. It's cold. The stadium was full. The stadium was packed for a meaningless game as far as the Bears were concerned. And it's not like they had Patrick Mahomes in town. It was the Seahawks who didn't make the playoffs either. So they're itching, and they're dying for a great team. And the next time they have a great team, if it happens with Ben Johnson, it's going to be because their offense is something it's never been in the modern era of football.
And I think, they have the building blocks for the offense. I mean, obviously, we just talked about the offensive line, but you start looking at DJ Moore. He can kind of be that Amon-Ra St. Brown, that guy. He can play inside. He can play outside as a wide receiver. Cole Kmet is a very solid tight end. He's big. He's a good blocker. He's got good hands. But the problem is they got to get that home run hitter. Jahmyr Gibbs is a different player. When they hit on Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery is a good back, but he's not Jahmyr Gibbs. And you said it, hey, last week, Jahmyr Gibbs is top 5, top 3, and I agree with you. I started looking, putting him outside the top 5, and then I text you during the game and said, he's definitely top 5. So they have to go out and they have to continue to build that personnel. Rome Odunze, I thought he had a solid rookie year. They got to get a little bit younger with Keenan Allen. But overall, I mean, they got the building blocks to have a decent team. They just have to continue to build this offensive line and continue to work on that defense, especially in the secondary.
And what Ben Johnson's going to do, he's not bringing a playbook with him. He said he's going to tear the offense down to the studs and build it in a way that will get the most out of Caleb Williams and whoever else they have on the offense. And that's the way you do it. You find out what your guys can do. You find out what they like to do, and you do that. And you don't do the things that they don't like to do. You don't do the things that they can't do as well.
Let me ask you this. But you have to push your guys. You have to make them uncomfortable at times. And the thing that I see with Caleb when watching him play, and he got away with it just like Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, they hold on to the football. You can do that in college. You can hold on to the football, extend plays, but in the pros, it's tough to do. And when you start holding on to that football, you start trying to create things that's not necessarily there. And I've seen that a lot with Caleb Williams. And to me, I think the big challenge for Ben Johnson to come in and push this guy and say, hey, we want to get some part of a quick passing game to teach you how to get the ball out of your hands, to help the offensive line, to help the offense. Everything can't be like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, 5 and 7 step drops. You're sitting back there waiting for 4 or 5 seconds. You can't do that. You have to be on schedule, and that's something that I'm looking forward to. Ben Johnson coming in and really adjusting with Caleb Williams.
Well, and you nudge people out of their comfort zones, do some things in practice, maybe try something in a game. Hey, look, you can do that. I didn't think I could do it. I can do it. That's good coaching, and that's good response to coaching. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.